the editor-at-large and associate publisher at Alternet.org, is on the line with us. Jan Frell. Hey, Jan.
Hey, Tom. Always good to be with one of my favorite people.
Thank you. It's great to have you on the program. I don't have the article right in front of me right now. I'm sorry. So remind me who wrote this piece on Trump and Savage. It's absolutely brilliant.
It's by one of Alternet's staff writers, Adam Johnson. He and I were talking about this interesting phenomenon that was going on that nobody really seemed to be paying attention to it too much, but Trump seemed to be paying a lot of attention to a person who is on the far margins in the deep kind of swamps of the right, Michael Savage. And we started doing some research, and we discovered that not only had Trump decided to announce his candidacy on Trump's show, he could have picked any number of shows.
Yeah, on Savage's show.
TV. Yeah, on Savage's show. He's a national TV personality. He picked that show. And upon investigation and listening to Savage's show quite a bit in the past month, Trump has gone on Savage's show at least 3 times since the San Bernardino shootings. And when you start to study the basic contours of Savage's arguments, you realize that there's some kind of a mind meld here. Trump very likely has been studying Savage's audience, the demographic, and has absorbed the thinking from there. So it's kind of interesting to see, say, for example, today, a national Republican poll shows Trump is at 44%. Wow. And essentially his core message, which is just like Savage's, borders, language, culture, the wall, the immigration wall, trade.
It's a xenophobic message.
Xenophobia, all of these things is Michael Savage.
Wow.
And I think most people don't even really know Savage. I know you used to sort of listen to him and study him, and you two have some parallels as well.
Yeah, Louise and I, when we lived in Portland, I did 6 hours of radio, solid. I did a 3-hour morning show, and then I followed that with a 3-hour national show. And then after I got off the air, Louise and I would go out and have lunch. And at that point in Portland, it was noon, and Michael Savage's show started. And so as we drove to lunch, we would always listen to Michael Savage. Not always. I mean, sometimes we'd listen to others as well. But I listened to him because he's actually a brilliant talk show host. There are very few people in this business who are as good at telling stories and sucking listeners in and holding those listeners as Michael Savage. I think his worldview is wrong, and I think some of his ideas are toxic, if not crazy. But the man himself, in terms of just pure raw talent, there's a reason why Savage and Limbaugh are where they're at. They're both very, very talented talk show hosts.
Cannot be denied. And Savage also has a kind of a bigger picture, or he's operating with a bigger deck of cards than most of these right-wing hosts, who are just basically partisans.
Right.
He's got a PhD in some, I think, nutritional epidemiology, or I don't know precisely what it is.
Yeah, he was an herbologist sort of thing, I guess, years ago, back in college.
Right. So he's rooted in that, and his show kind of looks at America culturally through kind of a bigger lens. And I think it's through the kind of politics as personal, but also understanding the psychology of things that gives him his sort of core audience of reader addicts, but also, in my view, is what makes him so influential in the right-wing media ecosystem.
Yeah.
A lot of his points and observations will show up in much more prominent, or sort of even supposedly more closer to the mainstream right-wing viewpoints.
So we have this interesting, so what got you started on this, Jan, and you and I had actually discussed this a while ago, was the idea that, Trump seems to be channeling Savage. Is there something there? And when you went back, or when Adam, Johnson? No.
Yes, Adam Johnson.
And when Adam Johnson went back and actually looked at, policies and points and time, and not only had the two men been together a lot, at least on the air, but Trump is basically doing the Michael Savage show when he does his speeches, and
writ large, absolutely. And Savage also has said on his show repeatedly that he's a member at Mar-a-Lago in Florida, where he goes once a year.
Oh, really?
So the two have at least some
social
connection. But I also think there's just Trump is kind of a talented showman and an observer about what makes crowds react. Mm-hmm. And his longtime political collaborator, Roger Stone, it would also be a kind of a natural for pointing Trump to say, look, this guy kind of has a grip on the mindset or sensibility you need to absorb to develop this alternative right-wing persona that could, take off.
Did you ever see the movie Client Number 9 about the fall of Elliot Spitzer?
Sorry, say that again?
Did you ever see the movie Client Number 9 about the fall of Elliot Spitzer?
I did not.
Oh, man. Jan, you've got to watch that movie. It's all about basically how Roger Stone, at the behest of a billionaire who Spitzer offended and was intending to prosecute, Roger Stone dug up enough information from federal records to basically discover that Spitzer was hanging out with hookers, but he did it using illegal methods. And bragged about it. Brags about it in the movie. Yeah, I broke the law and I'm not going to go to jail.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it's amazing. Now, it's amazing.
I can share with you and maybe share with your audience later an amazing investigative piece published 5 months ago about Stone's collaboration with Trump over the past 3 decades. They've worked together on a number of projects, and it's just kind of. It also makes sense because Trump is sort of an independent thinker. Roger Stone is sort of this kind of sleazy guy who's on the outside. So is Michael Savage. It would make sense that they would kind of gravitate and say, look, there is this alternative politics if you are interested in power. And these people are all students of, sort of playing games with the media and sort of tricking it and manipulating it. There's some sophistication. I don't know how much coordination there is, but I don't even know if that's necessary to prove. Really what it is it just shows talented minds sort of in the same place on the margins of politics observing an on-ramp to sort of national politics that the establishment people, the insiders could never perceive.
Right. It's interesting. It's Michael Smerconish a week or two ago wrote a piece about how right-wing talk radio has been driving the choices on the Republican side. And to the extent that, there's literally not, or probably literally not, a town in America where you can't listen to right-wing talk radio. It's just, it's ubiquitous. Left-wing talk radio, you really have to have Sirius XM, or you've got to be in a city that's got, there's some great stations, but it's nowhere near as ubiquitous. Or you've got to watch Free Speech TV, but Sirius XM I think is probably one of the main places, and I don't think that there's a parallel on our side. I think on the right there. Sorry if I end up tooting your horn here. You would be one of the few, and I think the reason why you're kind of stretch out bigger than why Rachel Maddow doesn't have a daytime TV show, radio show or whatever, is because it's the talk has to be integrated with life, what's interesting with life, and the problem with a lot of the broadcast sort of left-leaning media is it's too much in sync with the prerogatives and the calendar of the Democratic Party. Well, and the news cycle and the need to draw eyeballs. Right. Yeah, I got all that. Jan Frell, the editor-at-large and associate publisher over at alternate.org. And Jan, thanks for dropping by today.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Fascinating insights, and the piece is The Michael Savage Effect on Trump. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.